Welcome to the Leadership Expose podcast. This podcast is for purpose-driven leaders at diverse levels and organizations around the world who are seeking to scale and transform their leadership, to level up their business, and to create an impact in the lives of people all around them. Business and boardroom topics, trends, innovation, transformation, and the intersection with leadership is the focus. We enable success. I'm your host, Stephen Paul. In this episode, I'm delighted to have Wendy Broersen. She is the CEO and founder of Superpeople Company, which helps companies to attract, retain, and develop their diverse workforce worldwide. She's been a serial entrepreneur for over 15 years, won several awards and nominations, and had her own Dutch TV show. She's also a guest lecturer at the University of Amsterdam. She's an author and international speaker. Welcome, Wendy. How are you doing today?
Well, just fine. Delighted to be here, Stephen.
Wonderful. For our audience purposes, tell us where are you based?
Well, I'm based in the Netherlands. Headquarters are at the Netherlands, but my team is scattered all over Europe, I would say. And quite recently, a couple of team members joined from the United States as well. And I have my eye on Asia, but it's not easy to find the right people and like the best of them. So yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah, hopefully 2023 will be a great year to bring talent from other continents as well. So maybe something to look forward to then.
Yeah. I'm networking in those regions now. That's usually the best way to acquire the team members, and looking forward to branch out because DEI is a topic that is it's a worldwide topic, and there's much to be done, and I can't do it on my own. So the more the merrier, I would say.
Yeah. Wendy, we're keen to hear about your journey, your personal journey, but also that intersection with your professional leadership journey. We briefly talked about Superpeople Company, but also the fact that you're a serial entrepreneur. So just keen to hear about that personal journey and that intersection with your professional journey. So go on, tell us a little bit more about you.
Well, let's not make it a long story, but I started my first company, I think 18 years ago. I always say schoolyard marketing started that company off because at that time my kids were really small and I had to drop them off at school and pick them up again. And as you know, when you're waiting, you're usually waiting with other parents, and then you start up a conversation, and so that's how my first company took off like crazy, which is a communication and marketing organization. And recently, like the last 3 years, we added serious gaming to it. So we're developing games where you can learn things or get new insights on specific topics. And so it's called Serious Games, and I thoroughly enjoy that because I love working with people. And at the previous financial crisis, my company invested already before the crisis into online, so I didn't have any problems. Actually, my company went better than ever in the crisis, but I saw a lot of companies struggle, I would say. And so I created this event, especially for female entrepreneurs and female managers, and they really took off. At one time, we even had 400 participants per event, and that also developed into a magazine, a digital magazine, an online blog, and also a TV show on Dutch television. and thoroughly enjoyed that. And then the sponsors of those events
Yeah.
said, well, we're sending our employees to these events and they come back, inspired and activated. And how about you do that within our company?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that presented a new problem. Well, new challenge, I would say. And so I thought about that for about, I would say, 6 months. And then Super Women Academy was born.
Wow.
And yeah, and that, developed into Super People Company. And next company I started was a tech startup, um, which is about DEI and augmented reality, because I do believe in tech for good. The new technology and developments in that area can really contribute to solving some of our biggest problems that we have in the world on
Mm.
environment, but also on how we interact and communicate. So
Mm. So
that's the short story.
very, very, very interesting. And you mentioned about some of the things that you did during the crisis as well, which we'll talk about later on. But what is your current main focus at this point? Is it all around people, or are the all dimensions of people and technology? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so the advertising agency and gaming still is fully thriving, and we're expanding on the gamification part
Yeah.
because that has my interest, most of my interest anyway.
Yeah.
But also, I would say most of my time goes to a Super People Company and the tech startup, which are now integrated into the company.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some other new technologies that I have in mind.
Yeah. So, in your view, what are some of the conversations, considering all the things that are going on currently, in your view, what are some of the conversations that companies or business leaders need to be having, whether it's at that executive committee level or at the board level, so that they can be better prepared for, for the next year or for the
Yeah.
future?
Well, looking ahead into the future is becoming much more challenging because, the developments are going that fast and we can barely keep up. But a couple of things um, I have, a clear view on that we should focus on. Um, One of them is people and tech. Because technology is evolving and developing at a speed that we cannot keep up with,
Yeah.
not all of them anyway, us anyway, it will, and there's literally no job that doesn't involve some kind or some part of technology anymore. There's
Yeah.
literally no job left. I mean, even the bakery is using ovens that
Mm.
have a computer part in them. So those hands-on jobs even have computer and internet elements in there. And it worries me because, and that's the second topic that I think people should, especially leaders, should focus on. Is that most of the Western world is, on average, the people that work are older, and that age is rising fast because of the fact that people don't retire that early anymore.
Yeah.
And it has to do with pensions and everything. And also, it has to do with people that don't want to retire as soon as they did anymore. But it's also creating a sort of like a rift between the younger people and the older people. And I see that happen a lot, and there really needs to be attention for that. And also, because of the shortages on the labor market, especially in Western countries, um, I think there is an opportunity there, because the older people are not there. There's a lot of ageism going on there,
Yeah.
and so if you could find a way to fully benefit from the people that are over 50,
Yeah.
and they're going to be with your company for at least 15 years. So why
Yeah.
not invest in them, right?
Yeah.
They don't change jobs as much as young people do,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of potential there because they are not, most of it are not 100% productive
Mm-hmm.
because of, you know, personal development issues, but also the gap, the technology gap there,
Yeah.
which is widening. Those are the people that weren't raised with internet and smartphones, and
Mm-hmm.
so they have like a disadvantage almost. And if we would focus a little bit more on that group, we could do job skimming, we could do development there, and
Yeah.
then fully benefit of all that knowledge that is still there,
Yeah.
um, and make sure that the shortage on the labor market is partly, um, shifting, that surplus is used, so we don't feel that shortage as
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. Such important topics and conversations that business leaders need to be having. So Wendy, I'm curious if I'm a business or an individual or a business leader looking to leverage your solution or your offering, um, how would a conversation between you and I sound like?
Well, I'm one of those people that asks a lot of questions because although we're always talking about people, and I must say there is a general misconception that people in a tech company need a different approach than people in a, like, say, financial company, or maybe in a I don't know, some other kind of company. That there's a misconception that the branch, or the specifics of that branch need a specific approach. I have to correct them usually and say, well, people are people and they're motivated by the same things. It doesn't really matter on how old they are, where they're from, or what branch they're working in.
Mm,
And so I asked them a lot of questions, and I must say, what really helps if you have sufficient data. And GDPR is not making that easy,
mm,
but if you really want to create change, like, say, in the culture of your organization, making it an inclusive culture,
mm,
um, data is definitely going to help you, because first of all, you know where you're at, and
mm.
second, you can measure what your efforts are, what the results of those efforts are.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Do, and do you intersect that with diversity, for example, or we talk about people here. There's an element of diversity as well into the whole mix, and now we're even talking about ESG and and so forth, right? Which diversity has got a big component of. So data diversity, helping bring clarity around people and so forth. Are those some of the things that you actually tap into as well?
yeah, diversity is an interesting concept, right? Because most people regard diversity either to be LGBTQ plus, or to be gender, or about age,
Mm,
or about multicultural backgrounds, or maybe a disability. Those are like the five main topics when people talk about diversity. But there's much more diversity out there. And so even if you, at first glance, you have a homogenic group working with you, there's room for inclusion as well, because we're not all the same, and we're not triggered by the
mm,
same things.
mm,
Um, and there's people with kids, and with that, there's people that do sports and people that hate sports. There's
mm.
introvert people and extrovert people, and there's people who are neurodivergent.
Yeah,
So there's lots of diversity out there, but if you don't really look at people at the individual level almost, um, then you're gonna miss out on talent, on opportunity, and especially, um, a near and dear topic of mine is that when you have diversity, that's only the starting point, because you can only benefit from that diversity if you are inclusive. If
Yeah.
there's no inclusivity, you will not fully benefit from the diversity there.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of companies that started to bring in more diverse people,
Yeah.
um, and they say it's hard, and yes, it is, because at first it's going to be hard, but as soon as you turn on that inclusivity, you
Yeah.
will, get all the benefits of that diversity. And so
Yeah.
that's why I love talking about both topics, because one cannot do without the other.
Yeah. It's interesting as you were just describing it. I mean, like diversity, inclusivity, you know, the experiences that I've had as well, you know, working with business leaders, even with boards and so forth, unless it's actually consciously added into people's mindset, but also into the agenda of the business,
Definitely.
it's kind of left on the sidelines. It's yet just another piece of work that needs to be done. But if it's consciously applied, and if you've got that leader who is self-aware that they need to actually embed, promote, or embed mostly, you know, those concepts into everyday workings
Yeah.
or everyday speak,
Yeah, it's a
then it becomes a reality, right?
yeah, it's a misconception that you'll change things when you bring in more diverse people. It's
Mm,
just one of those big misconceptions. Um, Fortunately for me, there's companies out there that do a lot of really big research things about this, like
mhm.
McKinsey and Gartner and
Yeah,
Goldman and Sachs. So, and they already proved that diversity alone is just not the solution to become more future proof,
yeah,
even. And so when looking at the future, and I love looking at the future, I'm an optimist, so
yeah,
kind of low future. But if you look at that, um, you'll see that, and I'm really happy that I see this more often happening, that inclusive leadership is already making its way to requirements and skills that are needed to become the leader of that future.
yeah,
And so I'm not talking about being male or female or whatever diverse group you want to associate yourself with, but that openness, that uh, that willingness to get more insights that aren't um, provided by people like you,
yeah,
is definitely going to make the change.
yeah, yeah. Wendy, you're a successful leader in your own right. Um, Share with us one or two things that's your secret formula to your success.
I would say people,
Hmm.
but like a genuine interest in people, in their stories, in what motivates them, what you know demotivates them even. And the other thing is to focus on what you have in common, because we always talk about diversity and inclusion, and especially about diversity, and makes us look at what we differ, what is different from the person next to you. But we can only progress and develop and be innovative and all the great stuff that comes from inclusion if we focus on what we have in common. And the great part about that also is that it doesn't polarize. And from polarization, nothing good comes from polarization. So
Yeah,
there's only heated arguments and blaming going on. And I think the solution lies in looking what we have in common.
yeah, yeah. No, thank you for that. So, what does a day in the life of Wendy look like these days, morning to evening?
Well, I'm not an evening person. So my day usually starts real early,
Mm-hmm.
and I start with a hike. I like it. I live on in the country, so I do a hike in the morning and about half an hour, and then I take time off screen to um, to read the newspaper, and I still have a paper,
Mm-hmm.
and
I
and
like that.
eat, yeah, and a really good breakfast,
Yeah.
because that makes my motor going. And then I indulge in a little bit of Netflix or Prime, to take my mind off, the news, and prep myself for a busy day. And usually I start working at 8 o'clock in the morning until about 6ish, and then the evening I use to read, spend with my family,
Mhm.
and be social, and writing my book. Unfortunately for me now, is taking part of my weekend away, but the end justifies the means, I would say, in this
Yeah.
case.
Yeah. Wonderful. I like that.
But the sport and the food is, to me, if I don't do that, it
Mm,
works against me, I would say.
yeah. Yeah. Because and I like the way you described it, and I was just experiencing that vicariously just now for the last 30 seconds as you were describing it, because it actually helps build your mind for the day
Yeah,
and allows you to be turbocharged for
yeah.
all the things that you will be
I tried
working through.
meditating, but the thing with meditating, and also the reason why I got rid of the bath in my house,
Mm,
is because when I meditate, I get all these ideas that
mm,
I feel I have to do something with, and I
mhm.
get too many of them.
Yeah,
So it has the opposite effect to for me. It doesn't relax me. It makes me even more anxious.
yeah,
So I tried um, hiking, and hiking does it
yeah,
because there's a repetitive movement in there, so it's good
yeah,
for my body.
yeah,
But it also, because of the repetitiveness, it gives me the, like you said, a moment where I can focus on the things that need to be done, in what order, priorities, feel things that I feel passionate about, and um, and there's a reason why they say that you have to sleep on things, right?
yeah,
So if
yeah,
something happened the day before, or I have an idea the day before, I
yeah,
sleep on it, and then I have my walk, and I know exactly what to do.
yeah, yeah. Meditation comes in different forms, right? Somebody was actually asking me the question, or I was in a conversation and somebody actually said, or asked the question, I mean, like Snoop Dogg doesn't meditate. Actually, he does through his rapping.
Yeah, I know people that dance in the morning
Yeah,
and
yeah.
get a
So,
lot of
so,
energy from that.
equally as you were describing, hiking is your meditation.
Yeah, and it's good to know that somebody told me that quite recently. Actually, you're the second one, because I explained why I cannot meditate in like the conventional way.
Mm,
And then she explained to me that I was meditating anyway, but in a different form.
mhm.
It doesn't fit everybody,
Yeah,
that you know um, way that most people think that you have to meditate. So I added it to my to-do list, but changed the name of it. First I called it hiking, and now I call it active meditation, I think.
yeah. No, wonderful. Wendy, we're coming to a close now. Is there any closing messages or topics that you want to just share with with leaders or businesses very briefly?
Well, I would say we're on the verge of a lot of changes in this world.
Mhm.
And although a lot of people think that they cannot, like, individually have a huge impact on that, I would like to correct that thought. I think you as a person can be of influence on many of the big problems in this world. And I, I truly believe that we can create change if we're conscious of that belief or ideal or thought or whatever you want to call it. So I would say, if you're listening to this podcast, please think of one thing you can do today to be more inclusive of somebody else. Could be promoting the hell out of somebody that you feel is not getting enough spotlight. Could be asking that neighbor that lives next to you but you haven't talked with in a very, very long time or never talked with. That still happens. So do something today and make an effort on doing a mini thing every day. But can you imagine what would happen if we would all do that every day? That would be a huge change. So I'm asking you to do that today.
Yeah.
It would make my day anyway.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thanks, Wendy. Words of wisdom and a challenge to me and to everyone else. Thank you very much, Wendy, for being with us today and for sharing your journey and all the messages there. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me, and looking forward to hear more of your podcast because I'm a fan. And have a great day.
Wonderful. Okay, folks, thank you very much for listening in, and stay tuned for our next episode on the editor of a global publication. I'll give more information about that one later on, so stay tuned. Hey, I hope you enjoy the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You're now seeing this part of the video, also because you consume some of my content, insights, and teachings. Maybe you've been to my LinkedIn page or website or seen other social media ads or listened to my podcast. I'm Stephen Paul, a business and transformational executive coach, strategic advisor, leader, and board member. I've been in diverse roles, corporate executive, entrepreneur, and worked with businesses and firms of all sizes, built and launched businesses, created high-impact boards, and so forth in 4 continents. I get it. I've been there, done that. But what is different is I bring a unique perspective and a playbook. I've helped 100+ business leaders just like you to scale and align their leadership top teams, the board, and overall business for growth. Leaders like Ivana from medium-sized company in the EU who grew 150% and expanded globally in under 5 months. After she started to work with me over facilitated sessions in an initial 3 days, I helped fine-tune their strategy and align their leadership team and board to be a cohesive driving force to achieve their dreams and outcomes. I want to teach you the same thing and more on how to scale and align your leadership team and board so you can increase your business growth and value. Get clarity on what is the next right strategy for you. There are multiple ways we can work with you. Number 1, click the link for a free, non-obligatory 60-minute initial strategic session. Let's get a feel for your dreams, your vision, your challenges, and let me convert that into a route map for you where we can co-develop and co-pilot. Number 2, enroll in an innovative and intuitive digital online course that I have created to help you transform. It's called Unshakable Resilience. It is the ultimate program for individuals and business leaders like you who want to be equipped at a personal and professional level to respond to any form of challenges or in crisis situations and take on opportunities with grit, resilience, and build a mindset of success. In essence, you want to be unshakable, thrive in crisis, take on opportunities in the face of adversity, and build a success mindset. So, click the link below to learn more on how I can personally help you individually and your firm to scale and align your leadership team and business and pivot in a transformational way. And for you to experience this, Whatever the challenge you're facing, get in touch with me. Let's discuss, and I will share my insight rapidly to enable your transformation. Click the links below.